haven't necessarily been on my astrology game lately, but I got the weirdest download the other morning, which was that Saturn was going to come down hard on Sagittarius specifically. I have been trying to interpret what this means over the past several days, but it feels beneficial to tell you that just in case it resonates. Also, I heard you are an orange cat. That's another one. So, I mean, the messages have been strong for what they are, and they have been coming out of nowhere, so I think there's a bit of chaos in the astral right now in the collective sphere that I'm definitely picking up on, mixed with some aggression, some latent aggression. So I kind of want to ask that we all put our heads together, try to clear the energy, clear the air, and navigate this flurry of emotion together, okay? If there's something that has been on your mind that you've been worried about, I want you to clear your thoughts about it and let it come find you again during the reading. Try not to focus all your energy on it on the outright. Got a little tripped up. Try to let it return to you, because I keep getting the very strong feeling that it's worth paying attention to, that the way that we are manifesting is not in a way that we ever have before. In that, I don't think we know exactly what is good for us as a collective at the moment, only because I just heard sabotage. So there's just this kind of like, and I see self-control in reverse on this other deck. I believe that there are energies that might want you to believe that you are not within your seat of power in the way that you are. And whether or not these opposing forces want to come into this reading is irrelevant to the fact that you and I are just trying to learn how to grow through something like this instead of fight our way through it. So as your reader, I would really like to tap into your energy if you'll let me. If you still want me to earn that space, let me attempt to earn it. And if this doesn't feel like the right reading for you, there are other videos on this app. But this magician here at the bottom of the deck is telling me that there's a reservation about following your impulses on a way to move forward. There's a reservation about how you are moving through things and how a situation is unfolding. That doesn't mean that you're going about it in the wrong way. It simply means that there are reservations. I think you're waiting for the right time to go, when it feels less like there's something in the background attempting to make moves on your behalf. We have the Two of Wands coming out in reverse. We have the Empress in reverse. We have the Six of Wands and that Wheel of Fortune in reverse that was sitting out here before. And then we have the Hanged Man in reverse with Judgment. Residing at the bottom of the deck is Strength in reverse, followed by the Eight of Wands. There's some sort of flurry of information around you that's causing withdrawal, as in you want to withdraw into yourself. I'm hearing Eye of the Storm. You are officially in the middle of this. You are officially... I'm getting the feeling of waiting around is the way that it feels, but you're actually standing very still. This conjures another dream that I've had, which was about a snowstorm. And I don't know if I've shared this on this channel yet, maybe. It was a while ago, but it was a snowstorm that was a complete whiteout. I couldn't see anything in any direction, and my instinct, because I do a lot of traveling in the astral, and I've been in a few situations before, but my instinct told me to stay still until it cleared up. Like, do not move until you can see, basically. There's no point in trying to move if you can't see the way forward. So I stayed there for what felt like at least 20 minutes just waiting for it to go by. And then it did, and at the end of it, I saw a small town at the bottom of a hill that I had been standing on top of. So there's a situation, obviously, you can pretty easily interpret that, right? There's a situation that feels cloudy and like you can't see your way through it, but there's assurance that through following your natural instincts, you will find even a small spot of civilization at the end of the isolation, let's just say, if it is what you're going through. With the Two of Wands in reverse and then the Six of Wands, it feels like going through the snowstorm and then finding the town. There's a moment of discovery that you're anticipating, you're waiting for the moment to move forward on. But you're in the eye of the storm. You gotta wait till you can see again. How do we move forward? How does the collective move forward? Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And the Lovers in reverse. I just got there's certain members that you need to deny within a group. There's a certain person or a certain energy, might be Gemini energy, which I thought of with the Lovers, or a person who is an opponent to your relationship, who opposes what you're doing. No matter what your reasons are, how many times you try to explain it, they just have a chip on their shoulder about what you're doing, is what I heard. Let's see what this card has to say. Three of Pentacles, this may be a coworker or the coworker of someone that you know. You know, the theme of that card is teamwork. So it seems like working against their own best interest to be discouraging happiness in another person. If they believe that that person is unhappy in their relationship, how much business of it, sorry, let me retrace my steps a little. How involved does a coworker want to get? And how involved should a coworker get? I'm not feeling like I'm coming at this energy from a place of knowing an exact situation that there's a need to be defensive about, unless this is a defensive card, and it's not. This is something about intuition with the Queen of Cups. This is something about, I can't put my finger on it, it's on my mind and I can't set it down. And this suspension of not knowing is becoming Judgment Day, I just heard. So it's becoming judgment in some kind of way. As in, let me get some details here. You are elevating beyond what you believe self-care can provide for you. I'm hearing scattered thoughts may have been very hard to focus your energy lately. And I think that's true for a lot of us at this moment with all the retrogrades and everything. But you're refusing to sit back in passive energy with this Knight of Cups here. It's extremely passive energy to the point of negativity, where someone is being so passive that it makes them moody because they're understimulated. And you're taking what could be that latent energy and turning it into production. Production meaning seizing the means of production on specific types of projects. So it's serving autonomous, you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Am I even making sense right now? I'm having kind of a late in the day coffee and I don't feel jittery, but I do hope it's helping me streamline a little more. The Strength in reverse, followed by the Eight of Wands. This just feels like a magic trick gone awry for whatever reason. It was something you were trying to do. I kind of get the sense that it backfired, but not in a way that I really perceive was your fault, but it does feel like a letdown, that was an inside job. Let's ground ourselves in the fact that you're kind of heading in a different direction. You're saying, I'm kind of done with moving that quickly. I really want to move into the waters of my intuition at this moment. Kind of feels like you're switching gears. It's less about looking out and more about looking in, which is bringing authenticity towards you, which is why you have friends in the wings. But it just, I can't shake the feeling that there is someone opposing your arrangement or your situation. So just know that that's not helpful to the energy overall, and maybe think of how you would act in that situation and see where, just like take other people's mistakes as an opportunity to reflect upon yourself. Just, if that advice feels grating to you, like you don't want to hear it, it might just be because I'm imposing it on you as a projector. So I'll get back to reading the cards specifically for what they're saying. And they're saying your elevation is imminent, if not already happening. I just heard success, happiness. There's a lot of positivity when you move away from passivity into production. And it's not even into action necessarily for the sake of acting, it's into production for the sake of producing, which is different. That's an abundance mindset. That's something that's going to grow outward and not become encumbering over time, which I think the passivity, tell me if I'm wrong, is starting to grate you a little bit. You don't feel so right about it. This is very interesting. It's like when I look back to where I was reading from before at the beginning, it feels very different from where we're at now. So maybe I'll just pull more cards. You're elevating past the need for strength and into Empress energy. Empress energy is fertility. It's the birth of all things. It's the concept of birth itself. It's the concept of fertility itself. It's art. It's justice with a side of grapes. Like, it's celebrating a win. Here she is in reverse with the Five of Cups in reverse. I think you're kind of celebrating passivity for passivity's sake. This is so confusing. Let me get into these cards and see what happens. I want cards before I say any more, please. Spirus? My words are getting so mixed up with this Mercury retrograde, but I'm trying to roll with it. Spirit, please let us know what we need to know. This is a check-in for the collective about this situation that we see right in front of us, and I'd like to know your expertise in terms of helping the collective thrive. I'd like to know your expertise as in what Spirit your expertise has to share. Elevating from passive Knight of Cups in reverse, moodiness. I'm not saying stagnancy necessarily, but just kind of like you're tired of waiting for something to return. You are kind of getting this feeling like I'm going to have to do everything myself, and not in a negative way at all, not in a dominant way, not in a tyrannical way, not in a negative way, in an intuitive way. You're kind of saying, I'm tired of fighting fire with water bottles. I'd rather just pick up everything I've known and nurture what I do know, and not lament in the repetition of one activity or exercise, is what I'm picking up on. There's kind of one way that you were spending time that made you become passive, but it felt more like a meditation than anything that formed resistance. So there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying you're ready for that next stage. It's really exciting when you go from page to knight, and knight to queen, and queen to king, and then king into major arcana card. So you're going from the Knight of Cups to the Queen of Cups to the Empress. You found your major arcana position. It's the Empress. You are the Empress. And I mean, it's already here, even in the face of strength in reverse, which is kind of like fighting your animalistic sensibilities. It's a lack of balance between nature and, how you feel as a conscious human being. And knowing that consciousness is nature, basically. Like, the best parts of you are nature. Also, the angriest parts of you are nature, and everything in between is that human deciphering, the picking apart of our experience on a day-to-day basis, just to try to improve on it and say, did I do well today? You know. And so I want to bring up the situation that you're in. Maybe there's a coworker who is telling you, you're not doing your job the way that they want you to, or I just feel that there's a coworker kind of intruding on your space. And what I want to say to them about that, because I want to speak to them for a second, if collective would allow it, that I speak to this person. Fill in the blank for whoever shows up in your mind when it seems like someone is not supportive. What I really want to ask that person is there any way that the person that they're saying to be concerned about needs relief from their behaviors or from their intrudement? Because this is getting complicated. There's 3 people here, so it's hard to refer to one person or another while remaining, so anonymous, because I'm not getting any real direct qualifiers, except for the fact that they might be a Gemini. So if this person that you're very close with, or maybe even like your work self, just or if you're freelancing and you don't really have coworkers in the same kind of convention that other people do, maybe this is like people that you've worked with in the past that are kind of floating up and reintroducing themselves into your energy and just saying like, I don't think you should have made that choice. And maybe that's something they said in the past multiple times, so you can just literally hear their voice saying it. Any doubters, any naysayers, anybody who's wagging their finger at you, I just want to ask them if you could come to them saying that you need relief from their requests to let up on what you're doing. I hope this didn't get too complicated as I'm digging into the energies. Maybe let's just pull more cards. You see those? I don't like that. It's okay. The High Priestess is here to tell us this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing, as in we're opening up, we're lifting band-aids to see if wounds are actually recovering or if there's been some kind of miscalculation or misstep in the healing process, okay? So don't be alarmed, but someone is really losing sleep over the fact that they have lied about something. And losing sleep doesn't look like the typical circadian rhythms that we all experience ebbs and flows with. It's more like biting your nails up at night. And I'm not criticizing any of these behaviors. I am an observant person when it comes to how people are feeling and how that manifests somatically in the body. So I say it with resonance and empathy. There's something of interference that is causing interference and scattered energy and overlap and these weird echo chambers is what I heard. So let's keep a few more cards all over the floor. I'm gonna pick them up later. Less to deal with now. There's obviously a strong push to take care of yourself. I want to drive this reading in the most positive direction possible because it's what you deserve. And what I do know is that this other situation causing worry doesn't need to affect the way that you are defending your peace. And that's what the Queen of Cups is showing us. Peace comes when you close the cup, when you close access to the very center of your mind. At the right times, when you nurture yourself, when you're used to hurting yourself. Harm reduction is the highest goal overall. So I'm not saying it's a slam dunk every time or that it's easy for anyone who's in any kind of recovery in any way, from emotional abuse, from work addictions. There are many things that can cause a nervous system to collapse over time. And I think that the Queen of Cups knows that she can trust herself because she's been through situations that should have broken her. But her intuition told her right before, like, don't go to that. And then she doesn't, or not to avoid things always, but maybe now's not the time to reflect on that memory. Or like there's just small blockers that come from covering the cup, you know, the crown, from constantly receiving. And basically the Queen of Cups says, I receive when I'm ready to. I consciously open my cup to receive information because I have enough to sustain myself as it is, anymore as a treat and a gift. Whereas it kind of feels like the Knight of Cups in reverse is just going around collecting things for collecting things' sake. The Queen of Cups upright is collecting with purpose. So you are collecting data and information with purpose. And it feels very counterintuitive. It feels like a direct mirror, and a direct mirror opposite to this Gemini energy here, which is saying something critical about either yours or, you know, your surrounding, your process, or the way that you live. Just there's some sort of criticism, but it's based in something that is not true, because they're trying to get away with looking better at something than you, is what I got. They know it's not true, which is why these nerves are keeping them up at night, and which is why you're deciding to close your cup, because you know it's the best way to defend yourself. It's the way to keep the high ground. You're not letting people in and doing things for doing people's sake. You are consciously opening your door and letting people in when you want to, and when it's time. I feel that you're very aligned in your energy. I don't see anything wrong here, really. I see somebody trying to mess with you and tell you that, you know, you're doing something wrong. But this is just telling you, don't look back to where you've been. Don't look back to where you've exited from, because anywhere that you've exited from, it's not from a lower timeline, it's from a unique timeline that you no longer have access to. I know this is really hard to put into words without there being internal, like, emotional backlash, so this just confirms it, though, especially when it aligns with this. I definitely shortcut the Six of Pentacles energy to be self-care when it's in reverse. It's kind of like every time you want to give to someone else, that's the exact amount that you're going to give to yourself, and then probably more because you're realigned in your energy. I'm not saying you should never give to another. Again, I'm saying there are certain times where the past might attack you if you overgive. And if you know what I mean by that, again, I was talking about, you know, recovery as a concept. If you've ever recovered from something very difficult, you know that there are times when it's just like, I need you to bring the expectations very low in terms of what I can do for you, but I will still be your friend. It doesn't mean that we do not have camaraderie. And I kind of feel that that's what you're saying to this Gemini. I'm just saying Gemini for the sake of identifying. It doesn't have to be that they are a Gemini. It might just be that kind of mercurial energy that just likes to chat and, you know, gossip, maybe. And it doesn't really seem all that negative with the Three of Pentacles being in the upright here. It just seems like it's falling back negatively on one person. It's kind of causing them some bad luck. Especially, I'm getting the longer you stay quiet, the worse it is. Because I believe this just connected so perfectly. Oh my goodness. I believe the basis of the lies that are here, I keep hearing the word informant. Because this is, you know, this is Big Daddy Gemini energy gone wrong, you know? And I feel like I needed to just clear my head for a minute. These glasses are dirty and I didn't have time to clean them. So that they're distracting to me. Sorry to share that with you. It's kind of like you're definitely in this process, and I'm connecting the experience right now because of the way that I notice the glasses. You're healing from perfectionism in a way that was harmful to you and others. Emphasis on others, and emphasis on how I brought up harm reduction earlier. The King of Swords in reverse does not believe in harm reduction. They believe that harm is part of the process inherently. In fact, it's something that they get excited about. And that's kind of all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to stay there very long, right? So paired with this Seven of Swords, with the Nine of Swords, it's kind of like this other energy who is chastising someone who is either working with you or you for how you do things for no apparent reason. It's because they're trying to provoke you into sharing so that they can tell this other person. And that's why you're being encouraged to have faith in the friends that you do have, because you do have friends around you. We have the Six of Wands upright twice. This is victory and success twice. This is you being surrounded by loved ones twice. Okay. The Six of Wands is a really good omen. So it's kind of like there are two people that are scheming together that cannot come up against either you and a group of friends that you're already feeling victory and success with, or like you and a partner who you're in a really good relationship with, because six is lover's energy too. So the Six of Wands twice kind of says maybe you and your partner have the power of a whole team, and these two people can't deal with that. I am not sure, but I know that you're safe when you close off your cup and your ideas, but you're onto something good. You have something in your hands that other people want, and I just don't get the sense that they're going to get anywhere near you. I just heard panic attack, so there may be a time where that energy is transferred to you and you kind of freak out a little bit. Try not to take it upon yourself. It feels so orchestrated. And I'm not trying to drum up paranoia at all or ever. It's basically that we're going to find a solution to this if this applies to you, if you feel that this is happening. If you don't feel that this is happening, good. Let's try to keep moving. I'm just going to pull some index cards for clarity. Okay, so the upright one is a romantic alien. It just seems like only take it out when you need it. It's kind of like you take out information for other people when you feel compelled to, when the timing is right, not even when the people feel trustworthy or like even it's what you want to say. There's something strategic about your communication, and it's not that it's intentionally bothering other people. You are not trying to provoke other people. Quite the contrary, you are trying so hard to keep the peace. It feels like people who want to disturb it are splitting at the seams, and you are just kind of receiving energetic dumps and downloads of those feelings. Because I sense that when you're feeling them, you're kind of saying, I know these aren't mine, and I don't know where this is coming from. I'm telling you, it's coming from the energy of regret that people are feeling by incurring bad luck against themselves by simply causing damage for the sake of finding out information. That is not a harm reductionistic type of mindset. And mind you, I had to learn harm reduction late in life. This isn't something that I grew up with. So I understand that kind of later in life smack that a person receives when they've been going around deceiving people for too long. And this is the card of deceit. And this is the master of lies. So like, just be aware that this energy is not going to touch you because you magically just kind of turn a blind eye at the right times. And again, this is like social climber energy. There are just social climbers and business people around you trying to do things that have nothing to do with you, are not in your alignment, and are of their own path. So you are gently placing people back in their own seats and in their own, not place, but like in their own situations. I believe that people may be trying to push their problems onto you, but you're holding the high ground by saying, I'm not passively collecting experiences because I want to live. I'm alive, so I know that I am living. I am intentionally collecting experiences to enrich my life and increase abundance. See the difference? And I just heard mine and harvested. So it's in the past tense, I think. Trying to mine you for information. And that doesn't that sound so scary? But it's only because you come off as so mysterious that they can't paint you any other way but that you're mysterious. That's all they can drum up. So don't worry. I'm not giving you any news that should be alarming, so long as you look forward and to yourself for the moment, for care, for advice, for to place your longings within yourself. Give it to yourself. Like, do not share. Not the best sentiment, so maybe we can clear it up and see. Queen of Wands on the side. Queen of Wands sideways. People believe that they can't read you because your mask is slipping, but I just saw you throw it to the ground, if you even ever had one. It's rough to assume that everyone has masks, but typically neurodivergent people are forced to form them, or even young transgender people have to force a mask to get around the feeling of dysphoria, or people with body dysmorphia have to hide parts of themselves. Masking isn't I just heard criminal behavior. It's more so a coping mechanism, and sometimes it overstays its welcome. So maybe that could have been the case of being, I just heard romantic and mysticism. So that's kind of the opposite of like a romantic alien. Mysticism versus alien subculture. I'm not sure if it's a versus, but it's very different schools of thought. The way that it feels to me, if you're into that weird shit like I am. So something's kind of asking you to lean into, it feels like strength and reverse energy coming back up, like the animal versus the human within. Does that make sense? Here's the Seven of Wands in reverse again. You have the Six of Wands, or I'm sorry, I don't even know why I said reverse, it's upright. There's a reason. Five of Swords. It feels like your defenses are down because you're defending yourself. And I was going to say ourselves, so maybe you're defending other people, or you really feel like you're standing up for, a lot of people when you say a specific thing. It feels like your defenses are down, but they're up. They're up because you've been talking, even if it feels like you're only fighting. This is your truth. Speaking your truth is so much more important than pleasing others, because you don't know what they need. And if you did, it's better for them to ask anyway, right? I don't know. King of Wands. This is how you get on top of that feeling of needing to like mysterious yourself out of the situation. There's a way to be mysterious and upright and supported and autonomous and individualistic, even if that's your vibe. There's a way to do that without oversharing, I guess. Keep yourself safe at all times. It's what certain people really don't want. So I'm sorry to say that, but it is true. And it might be specific individuals or a group mentality. Either way, what can I tell the collective right now at this point that they need to hear? You are magic. You make magic happen. You make magic out of molehills. And you're going to land on your feet every single time, because you always have. And people want to know how you do that, and that's okay. But a magician never reveals their tricks. That's what you needed to hear. And sometimes the trick is that you are very angry inside. Does that make sense? Sometimes people want to use that against you so badly, so maybe that's the thing to hold to yourself, that disappointment or that inability to let go. It's interesting. Or maybe that's what you feel like you've been holding in, and that's what the mask is. It's like you're masking your resentment and presenting as pleasant. And it's forcing you to avoid looking back at the progress that you've made, or the things that you've accomplished, the places you've been, what you've gone through. You're not looking at that, and that's causing the disconnect. I mean, we found the problem if this is what you came here to find. I'm not saying there's a problem in, with, or around you. I'm gonna try to loosen up my approach here. It's okay to be quiet and stoic and keep it to yourself. I just want to keep telling you that it is okay in certain situations. Just not at home. And I heard that before this came out. Because at home you are with yourself. At home you are yourself. You are with hopefully your people, and if those aren't your people, find a new home. And if that is hard, it is, but it is possible. But that's not the energy I'm picking up on at all. I think home is your sanctuary, and you trying to be stoic at home is ruining things. So I think, what's the advice here, Spirit? We have the sideways Three of Wands. Try not to numb yourself to people perceiving you moving on. I know you're impatient to move on faster than you have been. But that's just your ego, and it's not a big deal, but the ego is making you mask at home. And that might mean to yourself. You might be lying to yourself about how you feel about a situation. I think that's what this kind of negative social climber wants. They want you to stop seeking inspiration anymore, Spirit. How do we prevent this negative energy? I think your exhaustion won't allow you to cut corners or jump your place in line. So it's like your history, as we've touched on in other readings, is the thing that is supporting you, the things that you've done. It's interesting because we had the Six of Cups in reverse, we have the Five of Cups upright, and then I'm getting this message of the Seven of Pentacles in reverse to like reflect on how far you've come and how many milestones you've accomplished, how much you've seen, how much you've done. And mixed with that Six of Cups in reverse, it's like, just don't go back too far. You know, there was a point in time where you really started to make progress specifically. I'm getting kind of adolescence, possibly. You might have really come into your own during high school, and there was just like a teacher who really supported your needs, or a parental figure really started to come around at that point, or you got your first, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend, or they them friend. There's just some spark that activated you along your journey, and that is kind of the only thing being highlighted right now. I think you're feeling a sense of a loss of that spark, and it might have been much later too, but just emotionally that's where you were at. Try not to take age literally. Sometimes we float in and out of certain time periods of our lives in order to process what has been sitting there waiting to be processed. So you've been through so much that you know you can handle, you know, bringing this energy around. You're kind of saying, if there are lies and there is an investigation, I'll be honest, but there's nothing that anyone can say or do to convince me that my heart doesn't know what it wants, and that the direction of less harm, it might be the road less traveled in your life, but it is the one that you want. Go towards what you want, right? I mean, that feels obvious. And again, please take care of yourself. It's definitely, you're approaching burnout if you're not already there. You might already be there, and that's okay. We hit this point many times in our lives, right? I mean, people in this energy do, at least. All I see is this Empress hanging out separately and quietly and on the future-oriented side of the table. So you're really diving headfirst into this process of becoming receptive, and I mean truly receptive in life, like receiving. And it's gonna feel so good to your system to just let it wash over you. I can feel it somatically. And that's you drawing it in. I'm picking up on you bringing this inevitability towards you of peace and calm and receptive nature and relaxation and abundance on abundance. Not passive collecting, but passive observing, and then acting on harvesting, bringing those things closer to you. What's a garden if you don't bring the fruits of your labor into your home? So I'm not saying the Empress is doing all the work in the garden, but she knows the value of picking the fruit that you grow. So that's not passive collecting. That's mindful gardening. That's mindful planting and harvesting, and it takes time. So there's something to be said about that, I suppose. Anything else for the collective? I felt my throat chakra close off then, and you might have heard a little squeak when I breathed in. Sorry about that. The Ten of Cups in reverse, there's something about being silenced that feels much more safe than being vocal, but there's someone here who wants to listen to you. They want to hear every little thing that you have to say. And obviously, I don't think it's the energy that's chastising you. Okay, hold on. It is the energy that's chastising you, but I think you're confusing that like pull of, oh, they want to know more about me, oh, they're interested in me, oh, this feels so comforting. They want to know because they're investigating for, I'm just gonna flat out say, a negative reason. And then I think that there's someone else in your life who you're choosing to turn towards because you don't, the heart wants what it wants. You want to go in a direction that you want to go in. So in terms of that direction, I think that these other negative, lying energies are trying to curtail your attention away from this kind of harmonious investigation of getting to know one another and wanting to just jump in on it and be like, I want to know about you too. If they're getting to know you, why can't I? It's like, because I'm gonna leave it there. Because no is a full sentence. You don't have to explain yourself to others. I hope this reading helped. All right, I'll see you in the next one.